Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1463, written by IndieGamer363, An Encounter with the Top Hat Man. When I lived in an apartment building on the ground floor back in 2020-2021, I kept catching glimpses of what I would call the Top Hat Man. It started with corner of my eye glimpses that made me just kinda confused more than anything. Girlfriend at the time knew and never questioned me on it. Even would sometimes ask if I'd seen anything when it seemed weird. Then one night, walking through the living room with dinner, I looked up and through the back sliding door blinds that were closed, I saw a clear as day dark shadow. It was clearly outside, so it would be like the blinds being the backdrop, the figure in the middle and a light shining from the street. It moved super slow and deliberately past my window like it wanted me to see it. Perfect silhouette, looked like a suit with a suit jacket with one of those longer tails, and a top hat. That one really freaked me out, almost like, here I am. You have been seeing me. That definitely messed with me for a bit. I always had this feeling of something circling our home, but never able to actually get in. Something definitely not good, but never able to do more than appear occasionally. But we never had any paranormal moments inside the home. The classic super intense stares into the living room for what felt like 10 or 15 minutes plus. Sometimes from our animals with the occasional fluffy backs like they were about to pounce. I am religious, but I usually kept it to myself. But I always made sure to pray over the rooms in any new home we moved into. Not sure if I pushed something out in doing so. The last time I ever saw him was walking to my car at midday. As I turned to move towards the car, I saw a figure sitting on a bench. As I looked up, I saw a man in an older black suit, arms resting on his upper legs, and a top hat. As soon as I realized what I was seeing, I snapped my head fully over and it was gone. It was at that moment I realized I'd never actually seen his face, that time included, but always could picture it whenever I thought of him or saw him. Looked up and my girlfriend was just staring at me. Asked if she saw it and she said no, but could tell I had definitely seen something. But he never popped up again. Not sure if my mind was feeding into a story or if something really was there, but definitely weird. Case also file 1463, An Encounter with the Top Hat Man. There's multiple cases now reporting this Top Hat Man sighting, either in a dreamlike state, coming out of sleep paralysis, or just in the open world. Out of the corner of your eye, a disfigured face, a top hat that's protecting something, and usually well dressed in a suit. But maybe it's not really there, maybe it's more of an apparition, an entity that is possessing your own mind, and channeling it to create this element or totem of fear, because that is what is reported, fear. Also, another thing I find interesting is the idea of using prayer as mind orientation. To use your own soul as like a protective shield or barrier in the surrounding environment. So this top hat man might be there, but can't directly interact with you because you're protected. But he can still show himself to create fear, if that was the intent. Case file number 1464, written by flamingknifepenis, a UFO's gyroscopic dance. I saw a UFO/UAP. This was sometime in the late 90s at my parents' house in Portland, Oregon. I was outside in my parents' backyard, probably around 13 years old or so, and looked up and saw this smooth metallic disc that was tumbling through the sky. I wanted to run and get my mom's camera, but I knew I didn't have enough time, so I just stood there and watched it fly over the house and then head out of sight. My logical brain tells me that it was a mylar balloon of some sort, except it wasn't a balloon. From my angle, it was about the size of a dime or nickel, held up at arm's length. It didn't have any of the puckering you'd expect to see. There was nothing on the outside, and it wasn't really drifting so much as flying. All of its movements were 100% smooth, from the speed it was going at to the tumbling motion it was making. It almost looked like the way a gyroscope moves. I'm a pretty diehard skeptic, and I've spent a lot of time researching weather balloons and various other things that might use gyroscopic stabilization. But everything is a strikeout. I can't find anything that comes close. As much as I want to rationalize that it was a balloon, I know what I saw, or what I didn't see, as the case may be. I got a really good look at it, but it just doesn't make any sense. Case also file 14964. A UFO's gyroscopic dance. This is the first instance I've read of a gyroscopic movement from a UFO. And it's an interesting phenomenon if you look at various physics demonstrations where if you have something that's spinning and you spin it at the right angle, then it'll conserve its own momentum so it can actually spin counter to gravity. And that makes you wonder if there's some way to use that physical property to cancel out gravity if you spin something fast enough. But to my understanding, that doesn't actually work. But maybe we're missing something. It's pretty cool. If that's how we attain anti-gravity, whatever the way, that would be awesome. Just broaden your mind to the possibilities, right? Who knows where technology is going to be in even 5 years or 10 years or 100, a century from now. You can't even imagine. Case file number 1465, written by Past Independence 59. Overnight, my expensive contacts spawned a twin. For some background, I am 17 and live in Germany. I have very bad eyes, minus 16 in both eyes, so I'm blind without my glasses or contact lenses. I also wear very expensive glasses or contact lenses because they are a new special type which are supposed to stop my eyes from getting worse too fast. I noticed this on multiple occasions and it's so scary and weird, so I have 2 glass contact lenses, one for each eye, so a pair, and I only have those 2 because they are very expensive, 500 euros a pair. While on vacation, I was taking out my contacts and accidentally dropped one on the floor. I went to pick it up and clean it, and then put both my contacts away. I woke up the next morning to find one singular contact with my eye prescription. Like I said, literally minus 16, extremely rare, and I've never met anyone with that high of a prescription other than myself, laying on my bed. I freaked out, obviously, because they are expensive, and I thought I had somehow dropped it there last night and forgot to put it away. But I had slept in my bed the entire night, and when I checked my contact case, both of my contacts were in the case. Now I just, by some chance, had a 3rd glass hard contact lens with even the same serial number spawn on the bed while I was sleeping, in perfect condition, which is even more unlikely since I toss and turn a lot in my sleep. I 100% would have broken it. Why does this happen? How? I got freaked out and threw it away because there are only around 5 pairs of the special type of contact lens I own in all of Germany, since they are still in testing, and I don't understand how this is possible. Things like this happen very frequently, too. Eating the last apple to turn around and see the apple I had eaten previously on my nightstand. My fake nail breaking, throwing away the broken nail, and then realizing my nail never broke, meaning I now had an exact duplicate of my fake nail. Things like this, it is very, very creepy. Please, can anyone help me and let me know if this has happened to you too? I'm dead but not kidding. It is very creepy. Case also file 1465. Overnight, my expensive contacts spawned a twin. But this is weird actually, because it happens so often to you. So something is looking out for you, I guess, trying to give you extra stuff. Stealing it, robbing it from other alternate universes. And the users in those universes are losing out. Makes you wonder. I think there's only one true soul. Maybe those other versions of us are just computer approximations. They look at us, the real soul, and say, okay, well this is what he's doing, so let's extrapolate that to all the other copies, and they're going to go about their life generally in that method, already, that mannerism. But then there's some small tweaks, and those small tweaks and changes that the simulation doesn't get right produces all these variations. If you have a guardian angel, for instance, that can move objects from one universe to another, just spitballing here, maybe it's the real you. The one with the soul, and all the others don't really matter because they're just NPCs. Now maybe this isn't true, maybe every copy does have a soul, maybe it's almost partitioned, where you are all the other copies at the same time and you just don't realize it, you're only consciously aware of one. I don't know, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts here. But another thing that is bothering me is the increase in frequency of all these DOP events, these animals that shouldn't be where they are and so on. And of course the infamous black dot that we haven't heard of in quite a while, so that's a positive, but still. Is this an unstable universe? Increasing in instability? Or is it just reporting bias? So more people have access to the internet, and so because of that, there's just more stories. Maybe the latter. It's kind of like the increase in autism. Is it really something going on, or is it just better testing, more frequent testing, so on? Maybe it's a combination of both. I think it might be that. I think there is definitely a case where there's just more people that are able to report their weird events, but also things aren't entirely as stable as they were, say, 30 years ago. That's just my gut feeling, though. And now time for the quote of the day. We live in a society exquisitely dependent on science and technology, in which hardly anyone knows anything about science and technology. Carl Sagan. This quote reminds me of the scene in The Matrix. I believe it's the second Matrix, or maybe the third one. Anyways, there's this old man, he's on the council. I forgot his name, but he's talking to Neo in the real world in Zion, in the bowels of the city where all the machines are operating and keeping everyone alive. But he says that no one really knows even how they work. It's almost like magic. And I suppose if you don't understand something, but it works, is that not magic? Until you understand it, and then the magic is lost. But you gain power. So, would you rather have the magic, or would you rather have the power? Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.